Taylor Shoe presents.
Today we're taking a sideways leap forward from the footy games to take a look at my favorite future sports game on the Amiga. No, it's not Speedball 2. Speedball 2 is fantastic, but in my opinion it's not the best future sport on the Amiga. That honor is held by Projectyle. Projectyle was developed by Eldritch the Cat in 1990. Eldritch the Cat was made up of two developers from the by then defunct Odin Studios, Steve Wetherill and Mark Dawson. Mark Dawson later changed his name to Mark Wilding. The team photo in the manual suggests they could also have made it as a 1980s hair metal boy band. Nevertheless, Eldritch the Cat only existed for a couple of years and they are mostly remembered for creating Projectyle, published by Electronic Arts. On Steve Wetherill's blog, he remembers promising a little too much to EA compared to the modest budget of the game. This meant he had to do a lot of things on his own. Apart from coding with Dawson, he did most of the graphics, all of the music and the sound effects. The box has the game and a really cool poster that has the manual on the back, and that's an awkward solution. If you want to put the poster up, you'll have to memorize the manual first. You'll have to remember there were no mobile phones with high-resolution cameras back then, so you could not easily take a snapshot of it for reference. The poster is also way too big to copy with your mate Christopher's dad's fax machine. The manual is great though. It details the history of the sport of Tribal and has a profile on all the teams, complete with stadium names and home cities, some of which are on other planets or purely fiction. So, what exactly is Projectyle? It's a game set in the year 2112 and it's based around the fictional future sport of Tribal. Tribal was also the working name of the project during development, as can be seen in some early previews. It features 8 unique teams to control in a League Cup or singles match. The game plays a little like air hockey, with the players being on discs while trying to score the smaller ball disc in the opponent's goal. Every match has 3 teams battling each other, and the innovative pitch design sees the arena divided into 5 zones. The hub of the pitch is the face-off zone where every match starts. The face-off zone has 4 openings. 3 of them lead to defensive zones where one team defends and the other 2 try to score. These zones had one opening to the face-off zone in one end and a goal of the defending team in the opposite end. The 5th and final zone is the frantic zone, where every team has their own goal to defend and the 4th exit leads back to the face-off zone. The matches consist of 3 periods. It's a game of 3 halves, as the manual tells us. After every period, the teams rotate and defend a different zone. The center and bottom zones are the same throughout. The goal is simple: score as many goals as possible while keeping the ball out of your own goal.
I notice he wins all the time.
Just because he comes in first.
Every team has a different arena with a unique look and feel. The home teams play a little better in their own house, with players being a little faster and such. Teams play differently in different arenas depending on the surface and the ball. Balls are also slightly different in themselves. Some balls are hard and some are soft. There are even balls like the Vector's ball that's a bubble. This gets bursts if it gets jammed in tight corners. The teams also each have a unique theme song that plays at their home field, and this is probably my favorite soundtrack for the Amiga. Songs are still as good 30 years later, and of course every one of them were made by Mr. Wetherill. daunting task of creating unique theme songs for every team was made even more difficult by the fact that the music was made in quartet, that at the time had no official player for the Amiga. So part of getting the music to play on the Amiga had Mr. Wetherill deconstructing the Atari ST player and reconstructing it to play the quartet song files on an Amiga. If you don't want music, you can opt for sound effects, but they get old fast. I much prefer the great tunes. I always pick the Devils, because Devils are cool, and the Twisted Sister inspired Devils theme is my favorite theme song in the game. The Devils players have cool names too, like Belial, Kobold and Revenant. And their bio in the manual just says, "It's hell down there," and that's hella cool. The players themselves have different profiles, and every player has a portrait and can be trained in League mode, if training is turned on in the options. I never cared much about the training mode, the players were good enough to win from the start, but it's still a nice addition to the League mode if you want to fiddle around with that sort of thing. The League mode has the training and a table where every team you beat nets you 2 points for a total of 4 points per game. If you score more than both of your opponents. This mode also has a top scorers table. The matches themselves actually have some strategy to them. I never gave much thought to placement of players in the different zones, I mostly kept the default positions, but there is still some game tactics to be employed in the matches. If you go behind, you can try to get the ball in the leading team's defensive zone as often as possible. This of course makes the leading team unable to score. If you're behind and you need to score many goals fast, just get the ball in the frantic zone and hope for the best. Sometimes you can make up for a big deficit in there. After 30 years of playing this, I win most games, but I still dig holes for myself sometimes that I can't get out of.
This is no job for amateurs.
Even after 30 years, a win is not guaranteed. Judged on what stadium you're in and what surface the match is on, you can play the game defensively or offensively depending on what suits your team. There are also power-ups strewn about the pitch that can be picked up for different effects. The most powerful one to me is the free kick that has the other players freeze for 10 seconds. You can still push them around, but they can't take any action on their own. All in all, this is a fantastic future sports game, and one of my favorite Amiga games. The game drew good reviews, and it's remembered fondly among its fans, even if it's not mentioned as often as the juggernauts of the future sports genre, like Speedball 2, Mutant League Football or Smash TV. This is my favorite future sports title though, by a mile or two. Even though Steve Wetherill hints at it being slightly rushed and not reaching its full potential, it's still a brilliantly thought through and well executed concept, and Steve Wetherill has hinted about a possible remake in the future. Thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon.